What if the men sworn to protect their country were secretly betraying it? What if the very heart of Britain's intelligence was pierced from within? And what if the most brilliant minds of a generation, educated in the most prestigious halls of Cambridge, were quietly feeding secrets to Britain's greatest enemy? This is not fiction. This is the true story of the Cambridge Five. Welcome to Hidden in History, where shadows still speak. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the untold stories we bring from the depths of the past. Today, we uncover one of the most audacious spy rings in history, the tale of Britain's elite double agents who lived double lives and whose betrayal changed the course of the Cold War. The story begins in the 1930s. Europe trembled on the edge of collapse. Fascism surged in Germany and Italy. Civil war raged in Spain. The world was dividing into extremes, fascist right and communist left. And in the cloistered courtyards of Cambridge University, a group of young men, idealistic, privileged, and hungry for meaning, were swept into the storm. They were brilliant students, born into comfortable lives, yet repelled by the injustices they saw rising around them. For them, communism promised equality, justice, a future without the corruption of the old world. To Soviet recruiters watching from the shadows, these men were perfect. One by one, they were approached. Subtle conversations over tea, persuasive whispers in dim cafes. Help us build a better world. Help us fight fascism. And so, the recruitment began. Their names would later become infamous. Kim Philby, charming, confident, destined for greatness. He would rise through the ranks of MI6, Britain's foreign intelligence service, and become the most important Soviet spy of them all. Donald Maclean, a brilliant diplomat, posted to Washington at the height of atomic diplomacy, with access to secrets that shaped the nuclear age. Guy Burgess, charismatic, reckless, and flamboyant, equally at home in elite clubs and clandestine meetings. His eccentric behavior made him seem unreliable, yet that made him harder to suspect. Anthony Blunt, the cool intellectual, an art historian whose quiet demeanor masked his double life. Trusted so deeply that he would one day advise the Queen herself on her art collection. And finally, John Cairncross, the quiet scholar, underestimated, overlooked, yet holding the keys to vital scientific and military secrets. 5 men, 5 traitors. Together, they became the most dangerous spy ring in modern British history. The 1940s brought war. Britain stood alone against Nazi Germany, and these men, now trusted in government and intelligence, were perfectly placed. Philby, inside MI6, learned the language of secrecy and betrayal. He photographed files, memorized conversations, passed on operations before they had even begun. Soviet agents knew British plans almost in real time. Burgess, drinking late into the night with London's elite, smuggled papers out under his coat, delivering them to his handlers before dawn. Maclean, in Washington, handed Moscow crucial intelligence on Anglo-American nuclear strategy, long before the first bomb fell on Hiroshima. Together, their leaks compromised Allied operations, exposed agents in the field, and allowed the Soviet Union to prepare for the Cold War before the war had even ended. And yet, none of it was for money. They were not mercenaries. They were believers. Their loyalty was not to Britain, nor to the West, but to an ideology, to communism, to Stalin's Soviet Union. But no double life can last forever. By the late 1940s, whispers began. Counterintelligence officers noticed strange leaks, unexplained failures. Suspicion grew. But the brilliance of the five was that they were too well connected, too well regarded. Who would suspect that the very men entrusted with Britain's deepest secrets were the ones betraying them? Then, in 1951, the facade cracked. Under growing suspicion, Maclean and Burgess fled. Their escape was like something from a thriller: hastily packed bags, coded phone calls, and suddenly they were gone. On a ship to Moscow, safe in the arms of the very state they had served for decades. Philby, master manipulator, survived longer. Interrogated but never convicted, he charmed, denied, misdirected. For years he lived freely, even after suspicion tightened. Eventually, in 1963, his cover collapsed. He defected to Moscow, greeted as a hero, and spent the rest of his life in exile, drinking heavily, a shadow of the man who had once fooled an empire. Blunt's reckoning came later still. In 1979, Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher publicly exposed him as a Soviet spy. The revelation shocked the nation. The Queen's trusted art advisor, a decorated knight, unmasked as a traitor. His knighthood was stripped, and he lived the rest of his life in disgrace. Cairncross, the quietest of them all, slipped into obscurity, later admitting his role but avoiding the fame, or infamy, of the others. What did they achieve? Historians argue still. Some say they tilted the balance of the Cold War, giving the Soviets crucial advantages in nuclear strategy and intelligence. Others claim their greatest impact was psychological, the devastating breach of trust at the very heart of Britain's establishment. For decades, their names haunted MI5 and MI6, symbols of betrayal. The damage they caused was not only measured in lost lives or compromised operations, but in the corrosive realization that class, education, and privilege were no defense against treachery. The Cambridge Five remain one of history's most extraordinary spy rings, not because of their methods. They passed documents, whispered secrets, delivered files. Others did the same. But because of who they were, men from the very elite of British society, the men least expected to betray it. And so the question remains, why? Was it youthful idealism, hardened into lifelong commitment? Was it arrogance, a belief that they alone saw the truth? Or was it simple treachery? Perhaps it was all of these. Perhaps we will never know. But what we do know is this: their betrayals reshaped the Cold War, undermined trust between allies, and left a stain on British intelligence that has never fully faded. They lived as double men, speaking one truth by day, another by night. And in the shadows, they left behind a legacy that still unsettles us today. This was the story of the Cambridge Five, Britain's elite double agents. You've been watching Hidden in History, where shadows still speak. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, subscribe and join us again as we uncover more secrets hidden in the past.